Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm going to be showing you how to play Evelynn perfectly here in Season 11 League of Legends. A little bit late than never, but it is possible. The first thing is, if you're going to play Evelynn, you need to keep watch, and you don't want to lay your ward too early. Here, you see Graves comes out with his sweeper to break a ward and maybe give XP over to Wukong. If him and Wukong got that ward, then Wukong would get level 2 off of just 6 minions topside, which would be really bad for my top laner. This is why you don't lay your ward until you absolutely have to in this meta, just because the way the meta is, it's super greedy. So you basically lay it right when you have to go do your buff. So in this case, I'm starting on my blue buff, so I lay my ward around the 120 second mark. So me and Garen just go to my blue buff, then Graves wasted his sweeper, and now I have really good vision. At this point, Graves probably isn't even going to try to vertical jungle me, but if he did, that ward would totally catch it out. If a Graves does do that, you generally have to give up your wolf camp unless your teammates are willing to collapse, but giving up wolves is nothing. You should have time to get your blue and your gromp if you take them together like this. You generally will smite your gromp first to pull it to your blue, and then you just kind of take them at the same time. You don't typically hit your gromp with a raw ability and then start taking them together. It can get kind of awkward with how blue resets, and since Evelynn's Q hitbox originates from like inside of her body rather than out in front of her, it can get kind of messy. So generally you smite the gromp to pull it to the blue as you're pulling the blue to the gromp. And in this case, we see Graves did not vertical me. He probably started on his red buff since he was up there so late trying to break a ward. So we can just kind of figure he's going to be pathing towards us and pathing towards bot scuttle. There are lots of different routes Graves can run and many junglers can run, but you just have to kind of guess, I guess. Like, you don't know for sure, but keep a close eye on the minimap. You need to be pinging for your laners. I am not running Gathering Storm Absolute Focus this game. I don't do that on Evelynn if I'm playing against players who are higher than Diamond. So it's just not really worth. If you're playing against players who are Diamond or lower than Diamond, Gathering Storm Absolute Focus is better than Free Boots, Cosmic Insight. But higher elo, Free Boots is a lot better because most games will already be determined by the first 20 minutes. And Absolute Focus Gathering Storm doesn't really do anything up until the 20-minute mark. So in this elo, having it doesn't do you a whole lot of good, because if you win with it, you're probably going to win that game anyways. And if you lose with it, you might have been able to win with the Free Boots Cosmic Insight. We're pathing into our bot lane here into a Scuttle Crab. We do have bot prio, we don't have mid prio, so I want to try to take this Scuttle and shove it towards my bot lane. I also ping it, so that way my bot lane kind of knows what's going on. They didn't have to come help me, but it was nice that they did since they had prio. So I'm trying to pull it away from the Katarina, trying to push it towards my bot lane. We pick up the Scuttle, and the fact that Graves didn't come here, I start spam pinging out the top Scuttle. Very important to communicate with your teammate through pings. So now Garen knows, oh, she's probably top. Vlad's standing more towards me, away from where Graves might be. I'm waiting to go in on this. Vlad can pressure with autos, force her to go all in, so I'm just standing nearby. It's a lot easier to gank melee enemy laners than ranged ones. In this case, Kata kind of figured out what was going on. She probably saw Lulu rotating the Scuttle, so she knew I was in the area. First back on Evelynn, 9 out of 10 games, you want to get a Dark Seal Amp Tome. If you have more gold than that, good for you. Just keep buying more of your Rocket Belt. You shouldn't really be going any other Mythic other than Rocket Belt, because it gives you a bunch of movement speed even after you use it. So it's a dash and a bunch of movement speed. Really gross, really strong. Plus you get magic penetration off of it, which is really nice. Graves ganks the top. It should have been expected. Like, Garen should have known he was going to be there, but there's no point of telling your teammate that. Everyone makes mistakes. I like to lay my pink ward here to watch for my top side. I don't generally play around my top side much on Evelynn, or if I know I'm not going to be playing around a certain lane, I'll oftentimes lay my control word there. So that word is going to be watching for a dive. You don't have to lay your control word in any certain spot, but if you are going to lay it, you generally want to make sure it's not going to be broken anytime soon, and it still needs to be giving value. So just think about that. If they're going to break it within a minute or two of you laying it, it's typically not a great control word, especially in the early game. In the early game, you want those suckers to last anywhere from 1 minute to 10 minutes plus. And that word generally will give a lot of value if they come to invade me, if Wukong rotates to my buff, if Graves is trying to do a dive, anything like that. So now I can focus more on my bot lane. Jinx is obviously our win condition. If you look at our comp, Garen isn't going to matter late game. He's a no factor. Vlad, in my opinion, is a no factor as well. It's really just going to be about the Jinx, Lulu, and me. Jinx outranges their bot lane, and she's one of the strongest champions in the game. Graves comes in for the gank. He goes a little bit too far, and I flash in Q. Evelynn's actually a monster in these type of fights. There's very few champions that can out-scrap her, especially if they've already used their CC. So don't be afraid to flash in and really get your hands dirty, get your auto attacks in. the closer you are to auto, the easier it is going to be for you to land your Qs. And Evelynn's Qs are super overpowered. There was a patch a while back which made it to where it used to be whenever she queued a monster, it would put her Q on a lower cooldown, but then they changed it to where she can queue anything or queue nothing, and her Q still goes on a low cooldown, which is why you'll win a lot of scraps on Evelynn, even early game pre-6, that people don't expect, because a lot of people still aren't kind of in tune with that, because back in other seasons, Evelynn's 1 versus 1s were even worse pre-6. But obviously once you are 6, you outscale pretty much everything, including Graves. Evelynn into the Graves matchup is actually really good for Evelynn. If she wards properly like I did this game, paths properly, clears properly, it's perfectly fine. Because once you hit 6, he loses the game. He has to have Shield Bow or Hex Drinker to do anything. Otherwise, you just one-shot him. So here, I'm kind of taking my time. I know the enemies are in the area. They might want to fight. I go in. Once it's cleared, they're not going to be able to get to the scuttle in time. A fight does start to break out, which is kind of annoying because we didn't need to fight here. Lulu kind of just got caught out. I went in to try to back up the Jinx. Plus, I have my R, so if things really do get here, I can just R out. I do R out to try to save the Jinx and also get myself in a good position. Once again, kind of annoying. We didn't need to fight that. I already got in the scuttle. There's no reason for my teammates to turn around there, but it is what it is. You didn't see me type. You didn't see me spam ping teammates deads. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. If you ever intentionally annoy your teammates, or if they feel persecuted, they will mute you, which will make it very hard for you to communicate with them. I went through a massive losing spree where I was losing probably like 30. I lost the majority of like my 30 games at one point on this account. I lost like 20 out of my last 30 games at one point. But now I'm just like winning all my games. Why? The only thing that's changed, I'm still playing completely solo queue. The only thing that's changed is I don't type. Typing is absolutely horrible. Never, ever, never, ever, ever should you ever type unless you're saying we need hill cut. That's the only thing you should ever type ever. Here I get pushed off my blue buff. Wukong's being a bit of a rat, completely flushing me off of it. You have to be okay with giving stuff like this up. I don't have my R, so even though I am kind of ahead, this is really, really hard to fight. Garen is super tanky though, and he's getting off a full double spin rotation, so now I start to come in. I get my charm down on the wrong Wukong, unfortunately. He does have Conquer, so this is actually a pretty tough fight. If you're ever fighting a Conquer champion, just be aware. Once they're at full stacks, they're really difficult to fight. We pull off here. Pretty good trade for us. If I had my R, I would have been more willing to just go all in and take the fight sooner, so it was kind of my bad for not trusting the Garen. I didn't really understand that damage output. I feel like if Graves would have kited it better, then we would have been in a worse spot. So I just wanted to avoid that situation altogether. I had my bot side up and I'm still ahead. If you have to give up camps, it's fine on Evelynn. As long as you're getting kills with your R and you're not dying, that's kind of her win condition. You don't have to get every single camp, especially if it's super sus. That's not how she works. Pay close attention to my cooldowns. These are the make and break moments of the game. Whenever your ultimate is 15 seconds or less off a cooldown, your decision making is going to be what wins you the game. So while I was taking my red buff and my R was on cooldown, I was looking for my next gank, and I saw mid lane was really scrappy. So I come mid, we get the kill on Kata. Unfortunately, she barely kills our mid laner, but I mean, we got the gold. She died, so it is kind of worth, because I know I can do more with it than she can. And they don't really have the right type of support to keep them alive. Playing against Enchanter supports, in my opinion, is Evelynn's worst matchups. Here, I'm not as scared of Graves because I have my R. Even if I am like low on mana, if I watch my positioning, he can't kill me because Graves' auto attacks can't go through enemy minions or enemy turrets. So I could just kind of hide behind the turret and he can't auto me. So I was just going to waste his time and soak the XP. I'm fine. I'm sitting on a lot of gold. On Evelynn, whenever your R's up, you generally don't want to back. The only time you back on her is if you have to, because you have no HP and you have low AP, so you don't heal back very much. But as you can see here, I have a lot of health because I have Dark Seal stacks and an Amp Tome. So I'm actually pretty healthy, plus red buff healing me. So I don't really need to back since my R is up, even though I have a lot of gold. In this case, I run into a pink ward, so it puts me in a weird spot. At this point, I could back, but once again, my R is up. This is something you'll learn more and more as you get better on Evelynn in particular, or other carry champions. On Evelynn, it's a little different since she's invisible. She has more opportunities. You're not just risking walking around a bunch of wards and wasting a bunch of time, because you know when something can see you. When something can see you, it shows you where that thing is, that like a control ward, or if a champion's in a bush. So for Evelynn, even if you have a lot of gold, if your R is up, or if it's 10 seconds or 15 seconds about to be up, you don't want to back. Walking from base back out onto the map generally takes around 20 seconds. So that's why I say if your R is 15 seconds or less, you stay on the map. You go use it if you know it's going to be a kill. Don't just stay on the map to get a flash. That's stupid. It's a waste of time, because if you don't show yourself, it keeps constant pressure on the enemies anyways. as Evelynn since she's invisible. So if you randomly show yourself and you don't even get a kill, it's actually like bad, because now there's no pressure. They know where you are on the map. The other lanes can play aggressive, do whatever they want, and they'll see you haven't spent your gold, so they'll assume you're going to back anyways. It's really bad. So yeah, Wukong's pushing up here. We're kind of behind. He's got a big wave. He's got HP advantage. We'll drop the charm on him. He runs the other way, which is obnoxious. I hate it when people do stuff like that. They run away where it's going to kill them anyways, but they just do it just to like dodge your ability. Luckily, he didn't quite kill the Garen, even though he ignited. Evelynn W is really good against champions like 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐈 and Wukong. If you get it on the correct one before they use their clone ability. Here I was paying Garen to back off because of Kata, but if you use it at the right time, you'll know exactly like which one's the real one. So here Garen backed off way too late. I have no mana, so I was just trying to kind of like push her away with my charm, and my auto attack didn't charm her, unfortunately, because it just barely wore off. It was a really bad situation. Kata over chases. She has only like tier 1 boots, I'm pretty sure, so she's just having a lot of issues trying to chase. My electrocute proc was up, so I knew I could go in and finish it off. That was just knowing my damage outputs. If I didn't have electrocute, I wouldn't have done it. I would have just left it, but with electrocute, I knew I could get the kill. We backed and grabbed a Rabadon. The only reason we went in for a Rabadon this early is because I have 10 Dark Seal stacks. I would never, ever recommend Rabadon Rush first item unless you have 10 Dark Seals, because it just doesn't give enough value. It doesn't give you cooldown reduction or movement speed like Rocket Belt does. So it's just really bad. We have Herald, which scrapes 2 and a sliver of a plate. I see there's a fight going on bot lane, so we're running there. Notice how I'm rarely ever looking at myself. If I'm looking at myself, it's because I think there might be a pink ward in the area, and I really want to see it. But yeah, I rarely look at myself. On most junglers, you shouldn't look at yourself anyways, which is why playing on perma lock screen is really bad. If you want to lock your screen, just use the space bar. It's a lot better. He gets the kill on Veigar. I push up. Jinx is very vulnerable, so I thought maybe Graves or someone might come down and try to kill her. I push up into their jungle, waiting. I know Veigar is going to be leaving his base with speed up, so I can pinch him here. I didn't waste too much time, since I was taking camps. I'm not just sitting there waiting. I don't fly trap like this very often anymore, but if it's just an obvious situation where I can take it, I'll do it. I have my Rabadon, I have Blue Smite, Q Blue Smite E into him. I don't even charm. If you don't need your charm on Evelynn, it's really important that you don't use it, because it gives the enemies a lot of time to react. So if they have like a Shen R, or if there's a teammate in the area, by even trying to let your charm full proc, they can react, get away, flash, whatever. So if you know you don't need the charm, magic resist shred and the charm duration to kill, I wouldn't bother even using it. Like, you could use it to slow. Like, technically there I should have used it to slow. I just knew I didn't even need to use it, so I was just holding on to it, maybe just in case someone else showed up, even though I saw there was like 2 of them mid, 2 of them top. So here I'm fly trapping again after I get my Herald down. Veigar steps up to try to kill it. I figured I'd kill him since the Herald's low. Figured you might try to step up, hit it in the back. Unfortunately, he didn't. He's just kind of slow leaving base. Herald gets off a free hit. Still a pretty good situation for us. Cat is pretty low. I have my R. I'm really fed. I press tab to check their items really quick. Before and after every single fight you have with someone, you need to press tab to look at their items. It's like their items and levels is like the most important thing, obviously, whether you're going to kill them or not. Obviously, you need to be looking at their HP too. For whatever reason, I decided not to go mid here. I don't really know why. It might have been because of Dragon. I'm just playing around our win con. I know I don't really need any more kills because I already have 10 Dark Seal stacks. So here I probably just didn't go for anything because I'm trying to save it for Dragon. And I wasn't sure where control words are. I don't know. That was kind of weird. Zyra's sitting up here. She's on vision. I'm going to be prowling up looking for the Veigar. I'm still playing for the Dragon. Dragon Soul's our win con and Jinx is our win con. We're going to go ahead and take the blue buff. We have pretty good vision up here. We are going to kite it away from that wall. Sure enough, Zyra's coming over here to try to contest it. She can't though, because I pulled it out. It's really important to understand like when and why you need to put camps in certain spots. You need to get comfortable doing that. It'll win you a lot more games. See, we're on a control ward now. We're going to remember that. We ping it out for our teammates. You need to task that hotkey to a certain button that you can press comfortably. See, Kat is over here. I know she's going to step up. I'm going to sit on the outside of her sweeper. When she finally takes a misstep, I'm going to go in, charm, blue smite, QE. Once I don't R her, obviously, we don't need to. Lulu R automatically slows everyone around you, so it's pointless to R there. Just auto her down. But, yeah. If you're really far ahead on Evelynn like this, you need to be playing like you are. If you're constantly hiding and giving objectives when you're ahead, you're not going to win many games. And you see the score's really close. They have 11 kills, we have 13. They're not that far behind. They're only 2 kills behind, and they're only 1 turret behind as well. So 2 kills, 1 turret. It's really not that big of a deficit. On Evelynn, if I know we can kind of win a team fight, I'm fine with grouping on dragons. If I know we lose the team fight, if they have things like Zac and Jinx and Alistar, then I just won't even go to it. I'll just go to Heralds. It's better to avoid team fights and only play for picks in Heralds. But like I said, we have the Jinx, the Vlad, the Lulu, and I'm fed, so I'm fine with fighting on dragons. Basically, never take a fight you don't know for a fact you can win. It's pointless. Evelynn is a very gold-hungry champion. Every single death, if you die once, you should basically consider it your fault, even if it's not. And I don't want to say you should consider it game over, but you should count like 1 death as dying too much. So even though I needed to Q Veigar twice more before I R'd, I didn't, because I saw he was using his Everfrost and there's junk flying at my face. So I just went ahead and R'd early, and that's fine. He's low now. They burned a lot of stuff. I'm full HP because I'm Evelynn, my passive, Teehee. So I can just take Herald now. I have full map pressure. Even though I didn't get a kill, it doesn't matter. Normally on Evelynn, it is important to get a kill every single time you are. But at the end of the day, as long as you're not dying, it's fine. And we already have like all the gold we need. It's not that we need, oh, we're behind, we need more gold. All we need to do is stay alive and keep getting objectives. So even if I don't get a kill there, I got the objective, which is our higher objective. We're going Banshee, second item here. Generally, first item on Evelynn, you would go Rocket Belt. 9 out of 10 games, Rocket Belt first item on Evelynn is S+ tier. Then you're going to get Banshees, because Banshees is extremely inexpensive and gives an outrageous amount of stats. As in, Banshees is brain dead overpowered and they need to nerf it. Deadman's isn't even worth building on Evelynn these days. It's pretty much completely useless. Here I'm just waiting. My R's down. It's tempting to go in, but you don't mess around with Veigars on Evelynn. His cage is really scary if you don't have R. My R's about to come up, so I get Charm down. I mean, I could flash for the Veigar there, get inside the cage. I wasn't really too eager to, because Vlad was doing a bunch of damage anyways. Cat is staying on top of me. She's a gross champ. All she has is Divine Sunder, but Divine Sunder is OP, so she almost kills me, especially since she ignited me. If she got the shutdown on me there, we probably would have lost, in all honesty. Or the game would have been a lot easier for the enemies. But she didn't kill me, so that's good, because she would have gotten the 1,000 gold. I would have lost Dark Seal stacks. I would have lost tempo, and the game would have gotten really, really bad. To be honest, they would still be in a tough spot since we have the Lulu to counter the Katarina, but trust me, dying on Evelynn, especially if you're playing well on Evelynn and you're ahead, dying on her is so bad. It's like, it's the equivalent of the Blitzcrank on your team hooking the enemy Malphite into your team in a team fight. It is just, you can't die on her ever. Staying alive puts consistent pressure on the enemies because they don't know where you are. If you're constantly alive, it makes the game really hard for them to play. Anyone who's ever played against a good Evelynn, I would probably tell you that. I'm just assuming that. I guess I've played against some good Evelynns, but I normally pick Nunu and I don't lose to them. Nunu's a really good counter against Eve. So yeah, I generally know where Evelynn's going to be too, since I'm an Evelynn main. Like, I know what she's going to be thinking based off of where people are on the map and like what's going on. So, but I imagine for people who aren't Evelynn mains, they don't typically have a very good understanding of where she's going to be and why. You see, I'm giving up camps. I'm not making a big fuss about it. Once again, I already have the items I need. I already have a gold lead. I can already one-shot people. I can one-shot Zyra, the Veigar, maybe some of the other people. As long as you have at least minimum 1 person on the enemy team you can one-shot, you're fine. You can still give high value on Evelynn. The only time it really sucks when your teammates are taking your camps is when you can't quite one-shot people on the enemy team and your teammates are perpetually keeping you from that power spike. That can be really, really bad. So in this case, I don't care. I'm obviously going to give red to Jinx. We're prepping for the dragon fight. I'm going to try to keep my R up unless I know for a fact I can get a kill with it pre-dragon fight. Wukong is kind of pushed up. Figure I could blow half his health with my electrocute proc, him with a QE. He backs off to the side, so now I'm just fishing for the Veigar instead, waiting for him to walk up into me, but then Wukong pinches, so I run left. Neither one of them sees me. I'm still in a really good spot here. Garen over engages here heavily. I get the charm down so we know which one is the real Wukong. We're in on the Veigar, and I whip out my R. Technically, before his hourglass ends, there's like a 1/4 of a second startup on Eve R, so you can actually pre-prep it there. So yeah, I gave us pretty good value on the Wukong with the charm. We knew which one was the real one. We got the Veigar, we got his Hourglass. I didn't use my charm early because I checked to see that he actually had Hourglass. Graves is doing absurd damage. I don't know why. It's just Graves. Graves is actually pretty strong right now. They've given him a few small buffs. It's just the type of champion he is. He's really gross. So here I was just waiting to heal. Whenever you're in your passive, you're going to be getting a lot of extra healing based off of your AP. If you have enough AP, you can get all the way back to full health. If you don't, then you usually cap off around half health or 3/4 health. So I just waited a little bit just in case the enemies walked back in. We secure the dragon. We're pushing for Baron now since we did kill the Graves. I don't have smite, so I let my teammates know Veigar can outsmite me. If you're in a smite situation without smite, that's pretty bad. You can use your Artist Smite or your E, kind of. Your E does a lot of burst damage, and it does % base health damage. So against monsters, your E is kind of like a smite. So here, I E it, and my E does like 800 damage. And now we can pull off. But the main thing that's going to hold you back on Evelynn, guys, just to give you some generalities, is forcing plays. Forcing plays is what gets you and your team killed. And Evelynn, just by the nature of staying alive, you're already giving your team some pretty good baseline value. It's kind of like, think of it like Soraka. Soraka doesn't need to engage, force fights. She doesn't need to frontline. Soraka, as long as she stays alive and is constantly just spamming abilities, she's absurdly strong, kind of S tier. But if she dies or if like forces something and is out of position, she's just like god awful. Evelynn's the same way. You need to like figure out where everyone on the enemy team is and look at their items and understand what you can do. So here I know Veigar's Hourglass is on cooldown. I have Banshees, so I'm just gonna run right into him. I hit him with a Charm Slow, Blue Smite, I get the kill. Now I can just R out if I want, but my teammates are nearby, so I just hold on to it. I have Flash as well. I'm not even close to dying. Another big reason why Banshees is OP, if you're running into someone who has an instant gross CC, like Elise or Elise in R, or something like that, then, or even a Veigar Cage, it's just so good. Or an Everfrost, because so many mages build that now. Banshees is just so overpowered. It's not even just the shield it gives, it's also, it gives you like 90 AP and cooldown reduction, ability haste, and it's very cheap. I pre-procced my Q there. Your first one has a big cast time to it. It's like casting an ability, you have to stand still. The subsequent Qs come out pretty much instantly. So I pre-procced the first one, Graves had Charm on him, I flashed in, procced the Charm with the secondary ones, we pick up the kill. You can surprise a lot of people with that. They don't really expect it because they just don't even realize that you've already kind of pre-prepped it. But yeah, guys, that's generally how you play Evelynn perfectly here in Season 11 League of Legends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. And if you're interested in coaching, taking your game to the next level, check out the link down in the description, pinned comment below for coaching information.